another edition of PoCommunity. I'm sitting here with Corey Callahan from Cask Keg Brewery.
How's it going?
Good, man. How about you? Long time?
Fountainhead Network. Thanks for having me in.
No problem, man. Me and him go quite a ways back.
Yeah.
I was a child when I met him, being dropped on my head for a living. So, yeah.
It's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, a whole other ballgame. But, yeah, how did you get into this industry? Because I've always known you as someone in the media industry, right?
Yeah, so I work in broadcasting. I always have. And Cask and Keg is a beer and wine craft brew in Maple Ridge. And I used to be a customer there. And I made a joke to the old owner one time. I said, this is such a cool business. If you ever sell it, let me know. And I just made that joke, and it was a joke at the time. Not a very funny one. But I thought nothing of it. And then about 2 years passed, and the old owner had called me up and said, remember that time you said you would be interested if I ever sold it? Well, I'm selling it. So my wife and I, we spent about 7 or 8 months trying to figure out if we could buy the company financially. Yeah. And then once we finally figured out that we could, the question was, did we want to do it? And we did. And here we are 3 years later.
Awesome. That's wicked. So has it hit you in the face like really hard because you didn't know what you're getting into? Or
well, I had no experience in the craft brewery industry. I learned right from the bottom up from day one that we own the place. So I was learning as we went. Luckily, I inherited staff, and they've been excellent in teaching me, and then we were learning together. So I'm a quick learner. We decided, or we figured out, we figured out how the old owners did things, and then we changed and we evolved and we've expanded the business into what it is now. So basically, for the people who don't know what like a U-brew is, a U-brew is where you can go and make beer, wine, cider, fruit wine. We're different in a sense that we make craft beer. So most of the hard part is taken out for the customers. They come in, they just pitch the yeast, and then they come and bottle or can it themselves. We take care of everything else. So a customer's role is to just bottle or can it themselves, come hang out with us for half an hour, and you end up saving a ton of money. So it's legitimate craft beer, the same way that all the craft breweries do it around town: malt, yeast, hops, water, and it works out to be about $1 a beer.
Oh, nice.
So it's a big savings to the customer. They just have to do a little bit of work, but you've seen the liquor store prices.
Yeah.
They're outrageous.
They are. And
so this is a great place for people to save money and drink really great beer or wine.
That's awesome. Have you expanded your menu a lot since you've gone there?
Yeah. So when we started, there was about 6 beers always on our menu. The wine selection was okay. I think now we have over 250 different wines to choose from. And we have 8 beers that are always on our menu. And then every few months we make a seasonal beer as well.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it changes as the months go on, and that's what the weather's like. I'm not going to do a winter ale in the month of July.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. When you said you were a customer before, was there like something a beer that they had that like sold you onto them?
No, I just really like the idea of. I mean, it's just such a cool place to come and see and hang out at. It's a good vibe in there. It smells wonderful, especially on brewing days. But yeah, it's just the idea of being able to customize beers however you want. And that's one thing that's great about our place, is that customers can customize beers. Within limits. But for example, we have an IPA that we call the Wannock Lake IPA. And there are some customers that want even more hops in their beer. And so some customers will grow hops in their backyard. They'll bring their hops into our store, and then we'll dry hop it in their beer for a week, and it'll make it it'll give it that more, or it'll give it that hop flavor that our IPA might not have normally. Okay. So the ability to customize beers and have different ingredients added to your beer. Some people have their own recipes that we make for them. So the options are limitless at a U-brew, especially at Cask and Keg, and that's one great advantage to the beer drinker who really wants something that they like themselves.
That's awesome, being able to customize a beer.
Yeah.
There's all those beers out there that you might want to change just a slight bit, and having that customization is
and for example, a customer wanted to try our white pine wheat ale. So it's a wheat ale that's unfiltered, and it's almost, I'd compare it to like a Belgian Moon type beer. But they had grown lavender in their backyard, and she wanted to try adding lavender to her beer. Cool. So she brought it in, and we're actually in the process right now of dry hopping the lavender in her beer. And we're gonna find out how it tastes. That's so cool. Experimenting, customizing. That's a huge plus at Cask and Keg, and same on the wine side. On the wine side, some people complain that they get headaches when they drink too much wine. I might be one of them. Yeah. But our wine, you can customize the ingredients that go in it. So maybe you don't want the sulfites in a wine. We can make your wine sulfite free. Oh, wow. Or maybe you want a vegan wine. There are certain ingredients that go in wine that don't make it vegan. We can eliminate those. So there's all these different options within our store and on our menu that are available, and you can customize anything to how you want it. And that's what makes Cask and Keg really great.
That's wicked. Mm-hmm. Do you guys ever do like tasting tours or anything?
So liquor laws with U-Brews are very tight. Yeah. They're very restrictive. They're almost archaic, I would go as far to say. So there are certain limits and certain boundaries that U-Brews cannot do, and tastings is one of them. Yeah. So that is a downside. Yeah. But we have a policy at Cask and Keg that will always make you happy. So if you buy something and it's not quite working for you, all you have to do is talk to us, and we'll always make it right.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good communication with customers. Yeah. But it's like, the customization is pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. You don't hear that very often. And people that like their beer, this is definitely something that you want to check out. Like, there's no reason not to when you're buying something that isn't perfect.
Well, $1 a beer, man. I mean, how can you go wrong?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And even like our wine, like our highest end quality of wine, which is a very great quality wine, I think it works out to $7 a bottle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer in my opinion. It's just trying to get the word out there and let people know.
And it just takes a little bit of time and effort.
Yeah.
I think it kind of gives you a little bit, like, you feel more proud while drinking it.
Exactly.
Gives you a little bit more of a good feeling besides the tipsiness.
Yeah, and there's no headaches the next morning if you drank a whole bottle of wine. That's the biggest advantage.
Huge. Yeah. That's huge, because I've had many headaches from many bottles of wine.
What makes us different from other U-Brews, because there are other U-Brews around town, is especially on the beer side. And the beer side is, so like I said, we're a craft brewery under a U-Brew liquor license. Other U-Brews make their beer from a syrup or from a kit. As I'm sure you could go to a store and buy a beer kit, which is essentially a syrup, and then they add to the beer. That is not what we do. We do it for some customers who have been going there for 25 years, but we are making craft beer. So the same way that the breweries in Port Moody on Brewers Row or Foamer's Folly in Pitt Meadows, it's malt, yeast, hops, water, no preservatives, which is very different from any other U-Brew out there. So our beer side is very popular because essentially it is a craft brewery, but it's just under a U-Brew liquor license.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. So there is a beer on the menu that's PoCo related, is there not?
Well, yeah, we've branded all of our beers around different areas around town. Yeah. So Wannock Lake IPA, as I mentioned earlier. We have Kanaka Creek Lager. We have Burke Mountain Pale Ale.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, both Julie and I, the owners, we were from PoCo, so we had to have something from PoCo in there. Yeah. So we branded all of our beers from different landmarks around town. We figured that's a really great way to make it Maple Ridge's or PoCo's own.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, a lot of people out in Ridge come from PoCo. We're starting to.
That's the thing. Yeah. You grow up in PoCo and you move 1 or 2 cities out.
Yeah, PoCo. You're expensive.
It's true.
It's that's awesome, Corey.
Yeah,
I've always looked at you as like an entrepreneur to look up to. I'm not kissing ass here.
Yeah, no,
legit,
thanks.
Like known you since I was like 14, 15 years old, and just saw like that running a backyard wrestling company. You always had that initiative.
It's a lot of work. And you're about to find out with the Fountainhead Network. It's a lot of work, and I've always said what you put into it is what you get out of it. Hard work pays off. Every day there's some obstacle at Cask and Keg that we have to overcome, whether it's a piece of equipment breaking or some sort of issue with a beer or a wine, or it could be a customer complaint, whatever it is. There's always something, but the key is you keep a level head, you put in the hard work, and you figure it out. And
adapt to.
Adapt, yeah. So
Obviously with the times right now, like you
yeah,
guys, we had a little talk about it earlier, where it's like your industry there didn't suffer as much as other industries because people like
no,
drinking.
we were very lucky. So yeah, the beer and wine industry is considered an essential business.
Yeah,
Go figure.
yeah,
Everyone needs their booze, I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, so we were lucky and fortunate enough to stay open during the COVID pandemic, and we were still open, obviously. And
yeah,
so that was very fortunate for us. It was very challenging
yeah,
because we still had to have customers come into the store to bottle or can their beer or wine or cider.
yeah.
So it was a challenge, but we did our best. You know, physical distancing, hand sanitizer, signs posted everywhere, everything that we could do to help the situation we
Yeah.
did. And the province agreed with us. We spoke to Fraser Health, we spoke to WorkSafe, we spoke to everyone that we needed to speak to. They all liked our plan, and we were lucky enough to stay open. So
Yeah.
unfortunately there are businesses that just cannot open.
Yeah.
We are not one of them,
Yeah.
thankfully.
It still must have been a headache just because of like not saying places weren't clean before, but just
Yeah.
like having to be super clean when people are making stuff out of your
Yeah.
equipment and everything like that.
The truth of the matter is, breweries and wineries are already some of the most sanitized places
Yeah.
out there. Anything gets in a beer or wine or any sort of beverage, it'll infect it and it'll ruin it.
Yeah.
So our place is already extremely sanitized, extremely clean as it is.
Yeah.
We just had to step it up one more level.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And we were fortunate enough to well, so far up until this point, we've been fortunate enough to get through it all, and the customers are very happy, and there's a reason why we have such a large customer base, because we really are meeting those expectations.
Yeah, I think that's key for like anybody that has their own business that works for themselves right now, is to just adapt to the times and just kind of do what you can to stay afloat. Don't handcuff yourself.
No.
Don't be stubborn. Don't be comfortable, because it's not just COVID. It's anything. Like you said, you run into problems every day.
Every day there's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's the whole customer service industry right now is a challenge.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is to keep a level head, put in the hours, work hard, and you figure it out as you go. And
do your best.
Yeah.
Like that's all you can do really right now, is do your complete best. And give your all. It's a super challenging time, but I think in the end it's gonna it might have a positive spin to everything, because
for sure.
I mean most people haven't gone through something like this in their life, so if they get through it, then everything else should be a little bit easier after all this, right?
We shall hope.
So if you can make a success out of a terrible time, then just imagine what you could be doing once that time is better again.
I agree.
But thanks, Corey.
I
appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, no worries.
Everybody, check out, what's the website? Cask and Keg.
www.caskandkegbrewmasters.ca.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook at Cask and Keg Brewmasters, and Instagram at Cask and Keg Brewmasters. Awesome. So lots of beers, lots of wine, lots of ciders, lots of fruit wine. There is something for everyone at our store, and you save a ton of money. And the only downside is you got to come hang out with me for a half hour while you bottle or can.
It's okay.
Yourself.
I mean, hanging out with him for a half hour ain't too bad. I did it. I mean,
Yeah.
But we're probably gonna be. It sounds like we're gonna be putting one of your beers in our keg for our members as well. In the
Burke Mountain Pale Ale, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably what we're thinking. Kind of keep it PoCo.
Yeah, nice.
We really want to not cater. That's not the right. But we really want to do stuff for PoCo, but. When I look at the community, just like this area, not just the Tri-Cities either, like Maple Ridge, even going up to Langley, there's like a hub, or it just seems like people travel through those cities to work constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And they are, just because they live somewhere else, they're still keys to those communities.
We're all connected.
Yeah, it's born and raised in PoCo, right?
Yep.
But works in Maple Ridge, lives in Pitt Meadows, it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same. But thanks, Corey, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.